We're coming to you from Big Bill's New York Pizza in Centennial, and we're talking with former Denver Bronco, Haven Moses. Haven, when we last left, I asked you about Randy Gradishar, and you had mentioned you couldn't describe him in one word. Talk a little bit more about Randy.
Randy was just fundamentally sound. You know, coming from Ohio State, he was just sound. He was in every aspect of the game. You could depend upon him not just to do his job, but to be able to see whatever else was going on the field. And he was just the person you rallied around, or the defense rallied around, and that's where that Orange Crush came in. He was just, like I say, fundamentally sound, very tough, and very knowledgeable of the game. He was a leader.
Now, you have Randy Gradishar, and you could start seeing things to gel on your defense. Talk about the season that led to the Super Bowl.
Well, you know, it went by as a blur because every game, you know, we didn't really think in terms of the ultimate, you know, getting to the Super Bowl, because the previous year, as I mentioned, '76, we started to see glimpses of our capabilities and what we could, you know, what we thought we could do. But we also knew that in this game, you have to take one game at a time, 1 week at a time. So that season was just one that we took one game at a time. We approached every game the same way. And when the games were over, I think we had gone like 6, 7 games undefeated. We never really looked back. We just stayed in that moment and made sure that we didn't get too far ahead of ourselves as well. So that's what made, you know, to me it's so exciting and somewhat memorable. But to pinpoint or to talk about each individual game, it would be difficult, because other than the time when we finally got to the playoffs and to the championship game, those two were the most memorable, because finally we could take a deep breath because we got there.
During that season, was there one game where you guys all came together and said, you know what, this is the year, guys, we could actually do it?
We knew that. I think we knew it deep down from the beginning, but we just didn't want to talk about it. I think there was one game that really stands out. It was against San Diego Chargers in San Diego. We were down to our last play. A field goal was not going to, we would fall short by 1 point. We needed a touchdown to win. And I can remember offensively in the huddle, it was about the most quiet I've ever seen or had been in the huddle. It was like slow motion. Craig called the play, and it was a pass play, a pass pattern. I don't believe I was the primary receiver, but things happened in slow motion, as I said, and when the ball was snapped, we had to have this play. When the ball was snapped, you could just almost feel like you were moving in slow motion. We completed a touchdown pass to win that game, and that to me was the most critical game out of that whole season, because I think had we gotten beat, we probably would have continued on, you know, winning, but it wouldn't have given us that same momentum as knowing that we pulled this game out, which really told us we were destined to.
You know, we talked about the Broncos defense, the Orange Crush, and how important they were to that '77 team on the road to the Super Bowl. How important was Craig Morton for the Denver Broncos?
Well, Craig was a missing piece. You know, we only added 2 players that next year in '77. That was Craig Morton on offense and Bernard Jackson on defense. So, and that quarterback position obviously was very important. We had to complement the defense. I think what he brought to us was experience. He was a player, he had tremendously strong arm. His mobility was not as good. His knees were beginning to bother him. But I think his leadership gave us what we needed at the time we needed, and that was to be able to pick up the slack. The defense, I mean, defense can only score so many points. So we had to score points on offense when we had the opportunity, and Craig gave us that opportunity.
What I want to talk about when we come back is, we talked a little bit about the regular season. You mentioned that game, San Diego Chargers. I want to talk about the games that led to the AFC Championship, and then going on to play Dallas when we come back. We'll continue our talk with Haven Moses right here on Colorado Sports Connection.